And with that, I would yield to the gentleman from New York, the ranking member, for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, since you brought up Robert Bork, I must say that I have thought for the last 40 years that the court's unfortunate following of Robert Bork's doctrines, upending all prior understandings of antitrust law, has resulted in a terrible misinterpretation of antitrust law and is directly responsible for the overconcentration of industry and the power of big business in today's economy. Mr. Chairman, yesterday the director of the FBI sat at the witness table for nearly 6 hours, enduring a steady stream of baseless attacks and conspiracy theories meant to fit a far-right narrative that may resonate on Fox News, but that lacks any basis in fact. Today, it is the chair of the Federal Trade Commission's turn to step into the alternate universe that is the House Judiciary Committee under MAGA Republican leadership. Chair Khan, the last time you were here, you sat on this side of this table, helping to reinvigorate this committee's work on antitrust matters, and I thank you for your service to the committee. Unfortunately, I expect that today you will be the target of a barrage of personal attacks and wild accusations about the work of the FTC under your leadership. Republicans will tell us that the Commission is wasting resources, but the FTC has returned over $430 million to consumers under your watch and is vigorously enforcing the laws that Congress has entrusted to it. Meanwhile, it is the House Republicans who have wasted untold congressional and staff and agency staff resources and millions of dollars in pursuing a fruitless search for evidence of misconduct at the FTC. The majority will also argue that the FTC's investigation into Twitter was politically motivated and conducted at the behest of congressional Democrats. This argument also has no basis in fact. Twitter has been in trouble for failing to adequately protect the privacy of its users for more than a decade. It has been subject to a consent decree on this topic since as far back as 2011. It came under a second consent decree last year, and given the haphazard conduct of its new owner, it may very well be subject to new scrutiny today. It is the FTC's duty to review compliance with these consent decrees, particularly when, as occurred last year, there are credible concerns that user data may have been compromised when the majority of its legal and engineering staff was fired. This work has nothing to do with the new owner of the company and his political views. Protecting user privacy is not political. Rushing to defend a company at all costs and investigating the agency that attempts to hold that company accountable merely because the new owner shares your political views is another matter. Ultimately, Chair Khan, you will face attacks today because you are doing your job, and that is what threatens Republicans the most. The Federal Trade Commission was created and charged with enforcing antitrust and competition laws to respond to a rise in consolidation across the market in the early 1900s. It helped bring down the trusts and lessen monopoly power, which strengthened the economy and helped support the formation of a strong middle class. Unfortunately, in recent decades, the executive branch took a radical turn away from enforcement of the antitrust laws that kept us safe and prosperous for nearly a century. That failure led to massive consolidation across the market that gave rise to a handful of dominant companies with the power to squash competition. The rise of monopolies and monopsonies in several fields was a boon to the corporate class, but it has been devastating to consumers, workers, and small businesses. This began to change when the Biden administration announced several steps to reinvigorate the enforcement of federal antitrust laws. By faithfully interpreting the original intent of the antitrust laws and the FTC Act to ensure fair competition and prices, the administration has announced that the party is over for large and unfettered corporations. And although most Americans welcome this change, and indeed our economy is booming and unemployment is at a historic low, the commitment to enforcing these laws has raised alarm among our Republican colleagues, so they have taken aim at your agency and the important work the FTC does to protect consumers and promote competition. I hope that my Republican colleagues will find it within themselves to put their baseless and often personal attacks on pause long enough to listen to the importance of your mission. In any event, I appreciate your appearing here today, and I appreciate the valuable work of the FTC. I look forward to your testimony, and I yield back the balance of my time.